Simon. Cameron Beaubier, he's a lovely guy, and he could have easily just sat back, couldn't he, and continued to win in
turn number 15. He hammers the fuel tank on that Red Bull KTM machine. Look at that. There'll be 3 races to go, and if Raul Fernandez can punish Remy Gardner to the maximum here, there'll be 9 points splitting the team. It was a good 2 or 3 metres offline there, wasn't it? When you looked at the arc of the other riders that went through on that shot from the helicopter shot, he was well wide. He kept the lean angle, kept the power on. Now that was huge. Remy Gardner's team now.
Gardner, as we look at here, Beaubier then fighting for a podium with now Marco Bezzecchi. Tony Arbolino, by the way, is having a great race, number 14 on the Liquimoli intact bike. He's also on course for a maiden podium in Moto2, but Raul Fernandez then
on this COTA circuit. And if you do stray marginally offline, this track is so bumpy. It's a bit dirty offline as well, and unfortunately Remy Gardner put himself into that danger zone just running wide through turn number 15, and that
is lap 7 with 12 to go.
Yeah, well, John Hopkins called it bang on the money, didn't he? A race of attrition. It's so hot and humid, it's bumpy. It was going to be a proper horsepower rodeo here today.
Very good effort from the number 14. Further back then, has there been a problem? Is it Hector Gartho that potentially crashed that brought the yellow flags out? It was, and he has rejoined the race.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a sorry tale of late for laps in this Grand Prix. The Gian Antonio down to a 2:10.050. Bezzecchi's got nothing for his compatriot at this stage of the race. He was nearly half a second slower than the Gian Antonio. This is now the battle for the final place on the podium.
Time in 2020 that we've seen body language like that from the Aussie.
Yeah, just
how costly is that going to be?
Couldn't see that coming at all. He's been so good this year. Aki Ayo, they'll start the inquest now. He committed on the line, and down he went.
Well, in a moment, he'll be hoping that 1 or 2 riders can do something about this lead of Raul Fernandez. On that last lap, Fabio Di Gianantonio was half a second quicker than...
Took that 2-second advantage, perhaps just thinking, well, OK, I've got time in my pocket. I can just ease off here, not stress my brain or body too much.
I'm not sure Remy Gardner's going to want to watch this back. He knows himself exactly what just happened. Isn't he, number 6? Tony Arbolino keeps on pestering him, and the Italian here trying to find a way through. And Beaubier is so good on the brakes, he had to just try and lunge up the inside there, Tony Arbolino. And again, coming back.
And Arbolino just made that mistake. That's going to make life a little bit easier for the next couple of laps or so for Beaubier.
Raul Fernandez has reasserted his lead. He's back up to 2.1 ahead of Fabio Di Gianantonio, who in turn is a second clear.
Fernandez has responded to that slight build-up in pressure. Now then, Sam Lowes, what's happened here to the British rider? Because at the moment you can clearly see that he's just touring. Sam Lowes is cruising, he's pitting in. Is there a technical problem here, or what's happened to Lowes?
The World Championship, but it's not looking like it's going to be third. He was 50 points behind Marco Bezzecchi at the start of this one. Bez is in third as we speak.
They were just saying about Fabio Di Gianantonio, and perhaps thinking that he was going to have a sniff.
Yeah, and there would be 9 points in it. Now this man I was about to mention, Augusto Fernandez, is making some moves. The Mark VDS rider has got into a really good rhythm. In fact, he was the second fastest rider on circuit a moment ago. Fernandez,
he's now swarming all over the back of Cameron Beaubier.
2.4 seconds the gap then now from Raul Fernandez to Digia. Marco Bezzecchi is trying to
themselves back into this podium battle now. You can see clear daylight there as Bezzecchi swept through this fast downhill turn 2. Bezzecchi's been able to stretch away by over 2 seconds from this pair. So the podium fade, be aggressive at the start to put on a show for the American crowd. Did he go too early? Or was there a big mistake on that previous lap that got him so far off the pace? He was 1.6 seconds slower than Bezzecchi. This is turn 11 where he had that
for the weekend, Tetsuta Nagashima.
So Raul Fernandez then coming through turn 15, which caught out his teammate Remy Gardner early on. Now then Beaubier somehow still keeping Augusto Fernandez behind.
Circuit, isn't it? You can lose a few tenths here and there. You just on this lap for sure, Di Gianantonio's made up 4 or 5 tenths on the race leader. A 2:10.8 from Fernandez and a 2:10.2 from 1.5 seconds now between Raul Fernandez and Fabio Di Gianantonio. Is Raul Fernandez all of a sudden hitting some tyre issues as well? Because in terms of tyre life, at this stage of the race, we're entering no man's land.
Fernandez, is he just trying to conserve a bit of energy for a late charge here? The gap's still 1.7 seconds.
Well, one thing is for sure, this is the best we've seen of Fabio Di Gianantonio for a while. He's been,
again, ekes out that 10th back on the Gian Antonio. 2:10.3 from your race leader in exchange for a 2:10.4 from the Gian Antonio.
Yeah, it's toing and froing, isn't it? The gap between Fernandez.
The seconds clear of Augusto Fernandez, and with 6 laps to go, unless there's a big mistake coming from Bears, Fernandez will not be able to reel that kind of gap back.
Raul Fernandez's father, Juan Carlos, there.
So far this year, he got the chance to test a KTM MotoGP bike after his brilliant win in Misano last time out, and by all reports, on his debut on the RC16, he was incredibly and impressively fast. 25-year-old Brit, in fact, to be his first top 10 of the season since the opening night in Qatar. So a welcome boost for Dixon.
Yeah, overdue as well for Jake, who needs some sort of boost. It's sounding very much like he's staying. Response from Raul Fernandez again at a 2:10.3 puts him now again 2 seconds clear. The fastest rider on that last lap, believe it or not, Ayagura, the rookie. It just continues to impress. 7th place for him at the moment. He's
P5. They're currently in P5 in the race. I think pre-weekend that have definitely taken that as experienced crew chief Stuart Shenton's experience starts to pay. Marcel Schrotters coming to pits as well. We saw a problem with races for Marcel Schrotter. Simon Crayford just saying bike wasn't revving, misfiring. So a major problem, unfortunately, for Marcel Schrotter. He's out of this Grand Prix.
Right now, this young man in complete
this season, Raul Fernandez, when he's made mistakes, he was properly punished by Gardner. Fernandez crashed out early on in the Saxon ring. Gardner went on to win and take 25 points. Likewise, when Raul Fernandez...
Who would have thought this championship was going to go on a little bit further as well, because Gardner has just looked so squeaky clean in 2021. Coming into this one, Matt, with a 34-point lead,
you could say that Marco Bezzecchi, apologies there, but it's Celestino Vietti, unfortunately, who's gone down out of another potential top 10. That's fast at turn 2.
Yeah, it's a shame for Celestino Vietti.
Last time out. And then Portugal, who won in Portimao at the start of the year from 10th on the grid. His first victory in the Moto2 World Championship, none other than Raul Fernandez. Wow.
Behind him. This was behind those guys is Ayagura. He's in 7th place at the moment, still lapping very, very well indeed. Then it's Vieja, Ramirez and Jake Dixon in 10th.
There's been some class running well as well before that late crash at turn 2. There is Jake Dixon then. That's 10th place at the moment, and a safe and secure 10th for the Brit at the moment. He's not going to reel in Marcos Ramirez, and he's unlikely to be caught as well by Aaron Canet. Every now and again, doesn't he? The 34-year-old nearing the landmark 300th Grand Prix appearance. Well, he'll make it, actually. A big moment in front of his home crowd, all being well, in Misano. A little bit later on this month, race 209.
For his first points since Silverstone, when he was 15th.
Huge credit here to Augusto Fernandez. He's having to work so hard to keep Beaubier behind him. On this current lap, the previous one was a 2:10.
Problem for Sam Lowe's put him out of the Grand Prix earlier on. There are 2 laps left here in Texas. Raul Fernandez has a 2.5-second lead over Fabio Di Gianantonio. Bezzecchi in turn.
Just look at that pace. Not just the pace, but the unbelievable consistency. How many low 2:10s has Raul Fernandez delivered in this Grand Prix? 16 laps on those well-worn Dunlop tyres
in his rookie season. You were just talking about the rookies, Matt, here, but I mean, rookies across the board in all 3 classes. This year, there's something in the water. When you think about Moto3 and Pedro Acosta and Ethan Guevara, and
mentioning earlier about Raul turning up to the next 2 races, how he dominated, but going back to Misano, Remy was hunting Raul down in the last race, the last lap, remember, at Misano. I'm excited to see that one.
For KTM garage, it'll be interesting to see how Remy Gardner responds. I mean, it's very, very difficult, isn't it, to go through an entire season without at least one DNF. It's taken until round 15 for it to be
Fernandez.
Oh, what is going on with Raul Fernandez? He's doing 2:11.3s. Shocking performance from the race leader. Augusto Fernandez, this has been a bit of a familiar tale of late, Steve. Fernandez has just lost too much time at the beginning.
This championship is wide open. Number 25, Raul Fernandez, take a huge bow. Remy Gardner here watching on. He's a top man, Remy, and he will still congratulate his teammate, but he knows. Trees in Moto2 for the Spanish rider. The Gian Antonio in second is back on the podium for the first time since Jerez, and Marco Bezzecchi picks up 14th podium in Moto2 in third. And a congratulations to Cameron.
Garage. Of course, mixed emotions without any question down in that Akiayo pit box. This man was utterly brilliant yet again. 3 successive wins for the absolutely. Fernandez will go to Misano, where he was on